In a small, forgotten village perched on the jagged edge of a vast, unforgiving desert, life was dictated by the wind. The villagers there were practical people. They were born in the sand. They farmed the hardy desert shrubs, and they died in the sand. To them, the desert was a god, one that demanded submission. But there was one man named Kael who refused to bow. He didn't want to just survive the dust. He wanted to transform it. Kael's dream was considered a madness by the elders. He wanted to build a tower of pure glass in the very heart of the shifting dunes. Every morning, long before the sun turned the horizon into a blade of fire, Kael was out in the wastes. He didn't just gather any sand. He hunted for specific grains, silica-rich deposits hidden beneath the red clay. He built a massive clay furnace with his own bleeding hands, fueling it with dried scrub wood and coal he traded his meager food rations for. Under a heat so intense it turned the air into a shimmering ghost, Kael melted the grains into liquid fire. With a long iron pipe, he would blow and mold the molten mass into thick, transparent bricks. This wasn't a task of weeks or months. This was a grueling, lonely labor that consumed his youth. His skin, once smooth, became a map of burns and scars. His eyes, once bright, became sharp and weathered, always squinting against the glare of the furnace and the sun. In the evenings, the villagers would gather at the tavern, watching him stumble back to his shack covered in soot. "Kael," they would laugh, "look at you. You're trading your life for a pile of glass that the desert would just take back. Why fight the inevitable? Just plant your seeds and be content." But Kael remained silent. He didn't have the breath to argue. He needed it for the furnace. Whenever his tower rose 10 feet, 15 feet, 20 feet into the air, reflecting the deep purples and oranges of the desert twilight, he felt a sense of purpose that made the hunger in his belly disappear. For those moments, he wasn't just a scavenger, he was a creator. But the desert was a jealous god. Every year, during the season of howls, a great monsoon wind would scream through the valley. The first year, Kael's tower was only a few feet high. The wind snapped it like a dry twig. He wept, but he started over. The third year, the tower reached the height of a house. A sandstorm sandblasted the surface until the glass turned opaque and brittle, eventually shattering under its own weight. By the 7th year, Kael had become the most skilled glass maker the world had never seen. He had learned how to clear the impurities from the sand to make the glass as clear as water. He had learned the exact temperature needed to temper the bricks so they were hard as diamond. Yet despite his mastery, the desert always won. Each time the tower fell, the sound of the glass splintering echoed through the village like a gunshot. And each time, the villagers would shake their heads and say, finally he will stop. But he never did, until the 10th year. The 10th year brought a storm that the elders still speak of in hushed tones. It wasn't just a wind, it was a wall of black death that erased the stars. Kael tried to shield his tower with his own body, leaning against the cold glass as the wind tried to rip the lungs from his chest. But nature is indifferent to human passion. He heard a groan, a deep, crystalline shriek, and then the collapse. The weight of his own creation fell around him, burying him in a tomb of his own dreams. The next morning, the desert was eerily silent. Kael crawled out from underneath a mound of sand, his clothes in rags, his furnace cracked and cold. 10 years of his life had been ground back into dust. There was no tower, there were no bricks, There was only the endless, flat horizon of the desert mocking him. For the first time, Kael's spirit broke. The fire in his heart, which had outburned his furnace for a decade, finally went out. He felt the weight of every year, every burn, and every insult. He tied his few remaining belongings into a tattered bundle and walked toward the village boundary. He was leaving. He was done. As he reached the ancient stone well at the edge of the dunes, he saw Amara. She was an old, blind woman who lived longer than the village records could track. She sat there every day, listening to the world. "The wind sounds different today," she said as Kael approached. "It sounds like it's missing someone." "The wind won, Amara," Kael said, his voice a hollow rasp. "I spent 10 years building a lie. I have nothing left but these scarred, useless hands and a life I wasted." Amara reached out, her blind eyes searching the air until she found his hand. She gripped it with a strength that surprised him. She ran her thumb over his thick calluses, the ridges of his scars, and the powerful muscles of his forearm. "You foolish boy," she whispered with a smile. "You think you were building a tower. A tower is just a thing. It's a pile of melted sand. The desert can take a thing. But look at these hands, Kael. These are the hands of a master. Those hands you had 10 years ago were soft, weak, and knew nothing of the world's heat. These hands can now command fire. This mind now understands the soul of the earth."
She leaned closer, her voice dropping to a sharp whisper. "Kael, the tower was never the goal. It was the teacher. The desert didn't destroy your work. It tested you until you became the work. The real tower isn't standing in the dunes. It's standing right here in your bones. The desert can blow away glass, but it can never blow away the man you have become." Kael stood frozen. The silence of the desert suddenly felt different. It didn't feel like mockery. It felt like a challenge. He looked at his scars. They weren't marks of shame. They were the credentials of his soul. He realized that the 10 years weren't a loss. They were a payment for a version of himself that was unbreakable. Kael did not leave the village. He walked back into the heat. But this time, he didn't build with the arrogance of a man trying to conquer nature. He built with the wisdom of a man who understood it. He studied the aerodynamics of the dunes. He noticed how the desert shrubs didn't resist the wind. They let it pass through their branches. He returned to his furnace. He refined his technique once more, but this time he designed a spire with a hollow, fluted core. He shaped the glass into aerodynamic curves that whistled a beautiful melody when the wind hit them. He built an anchor deep into the bedrock, far beneath the shifting sands. 3 years later, the great spire was finished. It didn't just stand, it sang. When the fiercest storms came, the tower didn't fight the wind, it harmonized with it. The glass vibrated, but never broke. Kael is an old man now. He sits by that same well sometimes. When young people come to him weeping over a failed business, a broken relationship, or a lost dream, he doesn't offer them pity. He takes their hands, feels for the calluses, and says the same thing Amara told him. "Do not mourn the thing you lost. Mourn only if you learned nothing while building it. For the world can take what you make, but it can never take who you are."